with sports journalist and former cricketer Isabel Westbury, who says anyone who is upset by this is simply sexist. Former badminton world champion Gail Ems, who thinks it's ridiculous. And former England cricket captain and commentator David Gower, who sees nothing wrong with the term batsman, but is kind of open to it all. You're our umpire today, I think, David, aren't you? I think that's the way we're looking at it. So, Isabel, why is it so important to change batsman to batter?
I think because it's a very easy step to take. Gender equality in sport's going to take a very long time, but gender neutrality in language is simple, easy, and I don't understand why anyone should be so offended by it. If it's a step that's going to make just one girl, one woman feel more included, then why wouldn't you? Why would you get so upset about this change?
Did you, Isabel, when you were playing, did it used to sort of rankle with you that you were called a batsman in any situation?
No, I would happily say that I changed my mind on this matter. When I was playing, I was staunchly a batsman, actually. Especially, I was the only girl in the team. I wanted to prove myself. I was in an age when all my heroes and role models were firmly male. So, I went to the crease, ponytail dangling. I was a batsman. But just because I haven't felt excluded and my experiences hasn't impacted me, doesn't mean it hasn't impacted other people. And I think if language doesn't matter to you, it's probably because you're in the privileged position of having never been experienced being excluded from sport, from a club, society even. And I think, having talked to a lot of girls, my sister was better than me. I admit that. She was better than a lot of the boys. And when you're a teenage boy and you resent somebody, or threatened with your place, the easiest way to try and make her feel different was to say she threw like a girl, that she was weak, she was different. Cricket was for them, not her. And she stopped playing cricket, and it happened to a lot of girls as well. And so I think language might not matter to me in this context, but it matters to a lot of others. And I think walk a mile in their shoes, and then open your eyes and have a discussion.
So, Gail, you're a very successful sportswoman, but then in your field, you didn't have to be a badminton man, did you? You were just a badminton player. So maybe, in Isabel's argument, you've not experienced that sort of irking and damaging, potentially, nature of language.
I think as sports girls growing up gets put with the boys all the time, and we just get used to it. It's part of the psyche. We have to take on male characteristics, male attributes. You have to be one of the boys if you're going to make it in sport. I played mixed doubles, I was playing with a guy, against the guys. It was part of the kind of package. But I'm really proud to be a sportswoman. And women's sport, you can't have gender equality in sport. It doesn't exist. Boys are physically stronger and faster. So girls have to have their own kind of style, their own team. And yes, gender neutral language in business, because you're effectively doing the same job. It doesn't matter necessarily about, whether you're a boy or a girl, but in sport, it does matter. And girls, I'm really proud that women's sport has come such a long way, and we should be celebrating sports women and using the term women, and also protecting girls' sport as well. Be proud of you're a girl doing, playing cricket and being called a batsman, because women's cricket has done amazing this summer. It has showcased just how truly wonderful game is. The 100 has been a huge success. And now I feel like we've gone backwards by not celebrating women's sport, not using the term women and girls in this game. And it should be celebrated and really congratulated.
But off the back of that success, Gail, I wonder if now is exactly the right time to do this, because as you say, women's cricket has had a fabulous summer. The 100 has been a huge showcase for them alongside the men's game, and it really brought all of that to life. And now people are talking about it and appreciating the talent that we have in the women's game. We can actually push that further and say, OK, and now we want them to be recognised in their own right, and giving it a gender-neutral term like batter now is exactly the right time, because we are talking about it.
But you just feel like it's generalised it again. I feel like it's a backseat, like, oh, well done, you've done really well and had a great summer, but you know what, we're going to sort of neutralise you. I feel like it takes a dampener off it. I really do feel like that. I can understand the fact, obviously, for an inclusivity for sport, for grassroots, for school sports, for that kind of, sort of inclusion and making people feel wanted. But when it comes to elite sport, no, I want these women to go, yes, we're women and we've just done an awesome job. Just mention that it's women's sport.
Is there an argument to that, Isabel? You are a
think...
batswoman, not a batter. Celebrate the difference.
Absolutely. I think that there's an argument to say that batswoman is not a derogatory word. But I think the Gail's argument would be better if there was equal coverage of women's sport. I mean, at the last count, I think the last survey, there was 4% of our media coverage actually covered women as compared to men's sport. So everyone that we see on the television, all the role models, all the people that are succeeding, they are batsmen. That is the norm. That is the problem. It's the sovereignty of the term. The discrimination is in the manner in the word batsman kind of appropriates our very concept of batting. It's when you think about batsman, you think of a man, and that's the one that we see all the time. We want young girls and young boys to be able to see a batter and not worry whether it's a man or woman, but think, I can be like them too. And at the moment, all they're seeing really is batsmen. OK,
let's come to umpire Gower on this, because, of course, you have had a very successful, illustrious career in the world of cricket. And I'm sure, David, you have appreciated the brilliant profile rise that we've seen in women's cricket, not just over the summer, because I don't doubt that you've been following it for many years. What do you make of this decision by the MCC to change that term from batsman to batter?
Well, I've just realised how difficult a role being an umpire is. It's a tricky situation. I mean, there is something like 277 or 234 years of history in this, depending which paper you read, Times or Telegraph. And I think a lot of people are confused by the term batter because it suggests fish and chips. But I think both girls have made very good points. But I would say this: batsman, batter. If the MCC had said, both terms are available, then I think people would have been quite happily using whichever one was appropriate at the situation. I think the easy thing to say is this: batter will become much more commonplace. People will get used to it in no time whatsoever. I think the point about encouraging, for instance, younger girls to play the game without threat is a very good one. And the other point, and I know Izzy's point about the amount of coverage of women's cricket, I'm sure the statistics, she's never wrong. I know Izzy, she's never wrong. That statistic is absolutely right, I'm sure. But that is, what can I say? The coverage of women's cricket has increased incrementally. The standard of women's cricket has increased incrementally over the last 10 years or so or more, to the stage now where the 100 gave them a fantastic platform, where a lot of men are watching women play cricket and enjoying it, in the same way as football got more of an exposure with the European Cup, Europeans Championships. And of course, tennis, Emma Raducanu is this year's role model. She's already a shoo-in for Sports Personality of the Year on BBC, and people love her. So women's sport is getting so much more profile than it ever used to. But there are all sorts of words in our lives in general, which I'm not going to go into the long list of things that are now banned because they're pejorative or potentially pejorative. And I think sensibilities can be irked far too easily.
Could you ever see a situation, David, where men and women play together in the same team for cricket? Is it the sort of sport where you could have that?
Well, Gail's point stands out here. And I'm sure even Izzy would admit that if you put the England women's team in amongst the England men's team and said, right, let's have an Ashes contest, men and women together, I think, I don't know how to say this gently, but that wouldn't work. I think the women would find that, for instance, the extra speed of a Mitchell Stark up against them would be something they hadn't experienced before.
We have seen some brilliant instances, though, in the Olympics, didn't we, where we had mixed teams in the triathlon, particularly. I remember watching the triathlon, mixed doubles in tennis. There are sports where it does lend itself to being able to have both together.
Yeah, this isn't one of them.
Go on, Gail.
This is not one of them.
No. I agree with this. Men's and women's sport, and this is why I feel quite passionate about protecting girls in sport coming through. And, we've got to be very, very careful as well because of, I always say it's...
Oh, just frozen. Just lost Gail for a moment.
She can't.
Just while Gail works out her feed, Isabel, I just want to come to you because, of course, something else was brought up by somebody else, which was there is a position in cricket called third man. And is there an issue now for you with that position? Should that position be changed?
I think we can go to efforts to try it. I mean, I, like any man and woman, was brought up with cricket, with batsman, third man, using all this terminology. And we might as well try to change it. I think with the commentary that I do, something that has the same kind of cadence is long third. What's wrong with saying that? It means the same thing. If we can all try, we get it wrong. I say third man all the time. I say batsman all the time. But at least if we're thinking about it and trying just to make our sport more inclusive, why on earth not?
David, do you fancy a long third?
No. I mean, in the 100 they call it third. They just abbreviated it to third. But you can have as much fun as you want with this. For instance, if you're going to talk about short leg, are people of restricted growth going to complain about that? You can go as far as you like with this. It's an old term which is not offensive unless you want to make it so. And that's the thing. I think people that get upset about this just want to make it up. Just want to get that out of their system. They just want to be upset for the sake of being upset. What's more interesting is what you do with phrases like bowling a maiden over, which is quirky, it's traditional, it has double meaning, sort of the fun. What I don't want to lose, and this is not as a cricketer, not as a sportsman, but as a linguist or as a fan of language, is the quirkiness, the fun that you can have with language. And in fact, as a commentator, which I still am now and again, as a commentator, a lot of the fun you have describing a game is the use of words. Now, I don't want to be prescribed from using words just because one person somewhere might be offended. But let's face it, anyone who's ever broadcast live will at some stage have said something that has offended something. So that is just something we live with.
Yes. Kate knows that only too well, David.
I've been so pleased this morning.
Always very, very well behaved. We're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Gail, it's lovely to have you back. You've unfrozen. But thank you for joining us this morning. Isabel, thank you for your perspective too. David Gower, as ever, lovely to have you on the programme.